Welcome to the Less Doing podcast, where you will learn how to start living more by doing less.
Let me help you optimize, automate, and outsource your entire life so you can focus on doing the things you love.
Now here's your host, Ari Mizell.
Welcome back to The Art of Less Doing. I'm your host, Ari Mizell, and my guest today is TJ Anderson, who is a health hacker, a clinical health coach, and the recent author of The Art of Health Hacking. So I probably don't need to explain why I'm excited to have him on. Obviously, my health journey has been a big part of how I got to where I am, and so excited to have you here. Thanks, TJ.
You bet, Ari. I've been excited to jam with you for a while now, and I know of your own personal health journey, so you definitely value the topic. So I'm excited to talk today.
Thanks. So I'm going to start off with a really personal question, and that's, what does TJ stand for?
You bet. Great question. Thomas Joel. So I'm named after my two grandfathers from each of my parents' side. So Tom was my dad's dad, and Joel was my mom's dad.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
I like that. All right. Well, so now that we're familiar, how did you become a health hacker? You know, did you almost die?
Yeah. Yes. Kind of. I did have a health scare. And so my kind of health hacking journey, as I like to say, started at different phases, right? So out of college, I started to, grow my awareness around the importance of healthier eating and just taking care of my body. And then I professionally got involved in like health coaching and group fitness. But it wasn't until I returned home to Iowa. So I'm originally from Des Moines, Iowa, from 4 months of modeling. So I spent 4 months of modeling in Miami, Florida, so South Beach, trying to perfect the physical body. And basically my six-pack wasn't good enough for the cameras. Really unhealthy environment and experience for me. I was 24, 25 at the time. Came back to Iowa and got grounded, did a lot of emotional and spiritual and physical healing. And that is about the time that I got the calling to write this book, but to also continue to go down the rabbit hole of health in my own life and evolve my definition of health beyond the physical. So that's kind of one aspect of the journey. And then a couple years later, while really kind of getting into the whole quantified self and the biohacking movement, you could say, had a perfect storm happen in my own health, where I was working really hard on the book and the companies I was working with, and also working out hard while going keto, pulling out a lot of hydrating foods. So keto as in the ketogenic diet, for those that haven't heard, high fat, low carb, moderate protein way of eating, and notice a lot of great benefits from that, from burning fat to mental energy. And I didn't, properly hydrate. And I was also drinking a lot of coffee. So I actually passed out at brunch on a Sunday morning with my family, came to all fours on the ground and went in and out of consciousness, and went to the emergency room ultimately for low sodium. And that's what actually spawned 6 more chapters in the book that you mentioned, The Art of Health Hacking. I thought I was done with the book. And then that experience happened in Iowa. And then I was on a one-way flight to San Diego 2 days later to meet a functional medicine doctor, get advanced blood testing, et cetera. So.
And obviously that was the beginning of the journey, but I mean, was it just, not just, but was stress a big component of this in the end of the day?
Stress, sure. Yes. I mean, lots of ways of, stress comes in lots of different forms. My body was stressed out from the way it was eating, how hard it was working out, right? I didn't have, to your point, enough relaxation and proper hydration and love and TLC for the body. So, stress played a role, and my puppy in the background agrees with that, I think.
Yeah, no problem. I got one here too. And so, but where did it really start though in terms of the health hacking for you? What would you say was the first step in your hacking journey?
Yeah, I started to get some advanced blood testing before the visit to the emergency room through Wellness FX. Big fan of those guys. Some advanced heart health testing to understand, what's true heart health look like. So it all depends on your definition of health hacking. And so
Let's start with that.
Yeah. So I guess the book itself is written in a 5-act structure. And I start with Act 1 is setting the stage. The future of health is already here. So diving into our definition of health, how we approach the healthcare system, and what does self-care mean to us. Those are a couple of key principles I highlight in that first act. And then, second act, I get into the rise of the optimized, profiling, the biohacking movement, quantified self movement, and some of the obstacles that come with that. Right. So, in my experience, I kind of fell prey to over quantified self and not enough qualitative self, and so, a lot of emotional, internal healing was needed for that journey. And, but ultimately I believe what it means to be a health hacker is, really taking your health into your own hands, building your all-star holistic healthcare team, and also designing an optimal self-care strategy in your own life. So that's kind of how I like to look at my health hacking journey, is both healthcare team and self-care strategy.
So you said, and I totally get it, but I want you to explain a little further where you said you were getting too much quantitative, not enough qualitative. Can you qualify that a little more?
Yeah. So, measuring my ketone levels every morning while trying to perfect my diet was for the wrong reasons. I would have been better off doing some, mindfulness exercises and some journaling and prayer, what have you, as opposed to trying to focus on perfecting my diet to achieve, certain types of physical or mental states. So yeah, that would be an aspect for me of over quantifying. That's what happened in my own story, as far as trying to measure all my ketone levels and perfect blood work, right? You can have perfection with any sort of experience in life, from thoughts and behaviors, right? And to quantifying things that you're wanting to measure, right? And improve. And so that was my example of over quantifying. One of my examples. Yeah.
So what are some of the things you actually do track now?
Yeah. I love doing HRV, heart rate variability training. So the Inner Balance is a tool from HeartMath, an organization that does a lot of work in the power of intentional thoughts and heart-centered connecting breathing, as I'm sure you're familiar with, but your audience may not be. Which is connected with all sorts of benefits for optimal performance, less stress, mortality rates. HRV is a great metric to measure and do intentional work on. I'll do it at least, annual blood work, give or take. Advanced blood testing. I've gotten full scale genetic testing, which I highlight in the book, from 23andMe, and learned a lot about, my key mutations. So those are some things I track. And then every week, on the whiteboard, I'll create my core focuses for self-care during the week. What are the biggest levers or the smallest levers that can generate the biggest results. And for me, that's oftentimes not eating past 8 p.m. at night, because that drastically affects my sleep. How much caffeine intake, that's quantifiable. That makes a big impact on me because I'm super sensitive to caffeine. So those are a couple examples.
And do you like, are you trying, and you know, I'm in being respectful of the idea that like there's journaling and all, and the less quantitative stuff, but are there any metrics or things right now that you are working to optimize at the moment?
Yeah. So what am I working to optimize in terms of uh, like quantifiable things?
No, I honestly, anything. Like, is there a
Yeah.
project, you know, right now that you're trying to fix or, you know, tighten up?
Yeah. I'm at well. So I'm leading so I took like 3 years off of health coaching to really focus on what I call self coaching and ultimately like write this book. And so now that the book is out, it's done. I asked myself what I was called to do next, and I am testing out programs, getting back into kind of high performance health coaching, and I'm currently leading what I call a health hacker accelerator. So it's a 12-week, 3-month deep dive into providing like high performing entrepreneurs and just other health conscious leaders to really just take their health and performance to new levels. And so, I'm optimizing that program and learning what is of most value to people and how to support them in their journey. So, that's definitely a big, exciting project for me right now.
And then when you're working, so wait, are you doing health coaching again now?
Yes, I am. Yeah. So I'm in the midst of leading one of the first program right now, a group program. So a small group I'm leading, and that includes advanced blood testing and genetic testing, as well as like a consult with my own personal naturopath. So helping people to really build their own all-star healthcare team. So it's kind of like uh, health coaching meets care coordination / like kind of concierge medicine. That's kind of the role I'm playing right now.
And so where do you see some of the common areas that people are not, or like they're not acting optimally?
Yeah, totally. So we're on month 2 right now. So I created what similar to you on your OAO, that acronym of Optimize, Automate, Outsource, which I love. I created what I call the health hacker method. So 3-step process to elevate your own state of health and performance in any moment of your days and also in the stage of your life. So those 3 steps are activate, elevate, and integrate. So activate, getting started, turning on, taking inventory, elevate, really taking it to the next level, and then integrate, reflecting on the experience to learn and improve moving forward. I'm on month 2 right now of this health hacker accelerator of elevate. And part of that month is focused on like a posture assessment with like a functional movement plan. So honestly, really integrating, putting all the pieces together in terms of movement, I guess we could talk about from that category, and just overall, optimize physical health, the proper balance of, flexibility, strength, endurance, stability, mobility. So putting all of those pieces together. Oftentimes what I see is people, we get in our routines, which routines can sometimes, be great, and habits. And so we lose sight of continuing that self-experimentation mindset, right? And asking ourselves, oh, what else am I called to add to this approach, to this routine? So helping people to really round that out. And, if people are needing flexibility, giving them the top flexibility exercises and stretches to integrate at the right time of the day. But a lot of times people are, but you can also overstretch, right? So for me, I've had experience with overstretching. And so now Pilates has been a game changer for me to bring back like stability and proper form to a lot of these movements. So that kind of, those are kind of some core topics related to movement. But in terms of nutrition, overeating and not doing enough intermittent fasting, like the value of intermittent fasting is just so key in terms of giving the body a break to detox and heal. And so those are a couple highlights. I would say I noticed that people often are kind of missing from their game plan.
Yeah, sure. No, and I see those as well. When it comes to the mindfulness stuff, there's all sorts of different ways to skin that cat, as it were, right? And there's HRV training, there's true meditation, and what do you find are some of the most effective with people that you work with?
You bet. Yeah. So, to your point, lots of different mindfulness exercises and breathing, like ways of breathing exercises, from like Wim Hof to alternate nostril breathing.
I don't, sorry, back up. I don't actually hear that up. So I'm a certified yoga instructor, so I'm aware of alternate nostril breathing. I actually haven't thought about that in a while, and I don't hear that come up too often. Can you explain that to people?
Yeah, you bet. And it's a lot better done visually. So if people are listening to this and want to just like Google it, alternate nostril breathing, also called yogic breathing, is a way to allow different hemispheres of the brain to reconnect and to plug one nostril at a time, inhale up the other nostril slowly at a peaceful pace, and then after that inhale of that one nostril, then you plug that nostril that just did the inhale, and then you exhale out the other nostril. And then you keep that process of inhale, exhale, and move from right to left. And I have found this is really interesting. So, Ari, I've done some of my own self-experiments on this related to HRV training. When I'm doing just regular kind of deep breathing, heart-centered breathing, sitting down or lying down, my HRV score is not as high. So meaning my level of coherence for heart rate variability is not as high as it is when I do alternate nostril breathing. And it's crazy when you implement alternate nostril breathing. Like it is a completely different way of breathing that allows for HRV to go up. It's a way of breathing that we're not used to doing, because in our normal days, we're just, if we are breathing at all, it's through our mouth or both of our nostrils. So I love alternate nostril breathing because you can do it from anywhere. You can do it while you're driving or riding the bus, and also as a morning routine. And you can actually quantifiably track the benefits. So, yeah.
And without getting too sciencey for people, but can you explain why that works?
This is a recent experiment I've done and found in myself, but I don't have the exact scientific reason for that. But if I were to guess, it allows for a change of how oxygen is flowing through the nostrils, through the brain and the body, and it's a chance to just change up your breathing patterns in general, which those sorts of like changes, any sort of change always has some result to it. And this just happens to have a positive result. And what I've also found is that it requires attention. It requires your own attention on the breath in a way that, like, your mind has to connect with the hand to move from side to side. So that kind of keeps you engaged and focused in that, which you can ultimately put on autopilot as it becomes a habit and just notice the benefits. Yeah.
Cool. Now, let's talk about the book specifically. Now, two things, I guess, is who does this benefit the most, and what are they going to get out of the book?
Great question. I wrote the book to serve as a tool for, those like advanced hackers of health or biohackers, and those that, have been into fitness or in area of their health for a while, but need to also rein in on the fundamentals, right? So the book really merges the fundamentals with the cutting edge, because it's also intended for those that are just kind of maybe getting started with a new habit and wanting to just make a big lifestyle change, So the principles in the book kind of cover those two categories of people. But basically anyone that really desires to use their health as an asset and not a liability in their life, not just right now, but the future, for their own future. I think the subtitle says it best. It's a personal guide to elevate your state of health and performance, stress less, and build healthy habits that matter. So a big part of my work has been in health coaching. So I democratize in the book a lot of science related to sustainable behavior change, and also designing your own experiments. But ultimately, it's not too prescriptive. It's pretty empowering based. There are, action items for each chapter, it's a tool for those different types of markets that I said. So if you want to use your health as an asset, not a liability, this is the tool.
I like that. That's a good way of putting it. So the last question I always like to ask on these interviews is what are your top 3 pieces of advice for people to be more effective? You can treat that however you like.
To be more effective. So number 1, I would say make sure you're getting enough alone time, and specifically in that alone time, like connecting with the self, like with yourself and just being with yourself. And also in that experience, connecting with nature. So for example, this morning, part of my morning routine every morning is to get at least, 30 minutes of sunlight, grounding outside, a little bit of light movement. That's my alone time, connecting with self and nature. So I put that as number 1 for sure. And number 2, you can always, I would say that overworking, maybe for your, I personally in my life, it's always my calling to know when I'm overworking and when I'm called to kind of, hit pause on my workday and turn in for the night and leave that for tomorrow and engage in self-care. So knowing when to take breaks during the day and also stop work in general, I think at night, I think is really key for people that are really passionate about their work, business owners, working for startups, whatever it is. And then number 3, I would say is the power of in-person, authentic, powerful relationships. So connecting with those that mean the most to us, and having, real, authentic conversations about life, feelings and desires, and having go-to friends in person. And in our day and age, it's easy to try to stay up to date and connect with people virtually online. And, I was just reading an article on that this morning, and that hardly scratches the surface for true, authentic human connection. So
those are good. I like that. That's a broad range. So where can people find out more about you? Where can they get the book, more importantly?
You bet. So the book is available. The paperback book is available for sale right now on my website, which is healthhackerbook.com, healthhackerbook.com. And you can learn a little bit more about the book there. And like I said, grab a copy. It's free shipping. And it's available for pre-order on Amazon, but it doesn't officially launch in retailers until June 19th. So depending on when people are listening to this. And yeah, my own personal website is thisistj.com. So those are the couple of domains, and then also on Facebook and the gram and the Instagram. But I do also have an exciting free Kindle promotion coming up as well. So May 8th is a free Kindle promotion on Amazon. So if anyone desires a Kindle over a paperback or both, definitely mark that date on the calendar. So that's what I would share.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time, TJ. I hope everyone gets a copy of the book and most importantly starts using their health as an asset.
Amen. Thanks, Ari.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Just wanted to let you know that tomorrow, May 10th, I'll be a panelist at Strategic Coach in New York City. If you're local, I'd love to see you there. You can register to join us at the link in the show notes. It's free, so I hope to see you soon.